Imagine being laughed at as a child. Mocked. Rejected. Treated like you were nothing. Then imagine growing up and becoming the most feared warrior king Southern Africa had ever seen. A man so terrifying. Entire armies trembled at the sound of his name. Villages emptied. Enemies ran. Kings surrendered. But behind the legend was pain. Deep pain. The kind that changes a human being forever. Because before he became Shaka Zulu, he was just a broken boy. A boy nobody believed in. This is the terrifying, emotional, and unforgettable story of the birth of the Zulu nation. Before the empire. Before the warriors. Before history whispered his name in fear. There was suffering. Shaka was born in the late 1700s. The son of a Zulu chief. But his birth brought shame. His parents were not properly married. And many people saw him as unwanted. An embarrassment. His mother, Nandi, was humiliated. Mocked. Cast aside. And young Shaka suffered beside her. He knew hunger. Pain. Loneliness. Other children laughed at him. Called him names. Bullied him. Some say they mocked him as weak. As strange. As the boy who did not belong. Imagine that pain. Watching others reject you before you even understand why. Feeling unwanted. Like the world had already decided your worth. That pain burns. And sometimes, pain becomes fuel. Every insult stayed with him. Every rejection. Every cruel laugh. He remembered. The world made him feel small. But something dangerous was growing inside him. Hunger. Not for food. For respect. For power. For greatness. He would never be weak again. Never be laughed at again. Never be powerless again. The boy people mocked. Started watching. Learning. Training. Becoming stronger. Faster. Harder. Pain had turned into purpose. And purpose was becoming something unstoppable. Life changed when Shaka joined the army of a powerful leader. Here, something awakened. He was different. Disciplined. Fearless. Sharp. While others hesitated. Shaka attacked. While others feared pain. Shaka endured it. He trained relentlessly. Pushed his body beyond limits. Some stories say he ran barefoot across rough land to harden himself. He embraced suffering. Because suffering had already been his teacher. Slowly, the mocked child disappeared. And a warrior emerged. Strong. Strategic. Dangerous. People started paying attention. Then fearing him. Then following him. The boy nobody respected was becoming a storm. Then came the transformation. Shaka did not just fight battles. He reinvented war. He looked at how armies fought. And thought. Too slow. Too weak. Too predictable. He changed everything. Long throwing spears. Gone. He introduced shorter stabbing spears. Deadlier. Closer. More brutal. He trained soldiers to move fast. Strike hard. Feel no fear. Barefoot warriors ran across harsh land at terrifying speed. Discipline became law. Weakness became unacceptable. His army moved like lightning. Like predators hunting prey. Imagine the fear. Dust rising on the horizon. Thousands of warriors charging. Shields crashing. Spears flashing. The sound of war drums shaking the earth. This was not ordinary warfare. This was domination. And then, his greatest masterpiece. The famous bullhorn formation. Simple. Brilliant. Deadly. The strongest warriors formed the chest. The center, holding enemies in place. Then came the horns. Fast warriors circling both sides. Closing in. Trapping enemies. No escape. Behind them, the reserve force. Waiting. Watching. Ready to crush anyone still standing. Imagine being surrounded. No way forward. No way back. Only fear. Only chaos. By the time enemies realized what was happening, it was already over. Shaka had turned warfare into strategy, into psychology, into terror. He was not just fighting armies. He was breaking spirits. The Zulu were once a small clan. Small, ordinary, easy to ignore. But not anymore. Under Shaka, everything changed. He united warriors, conquered rivals, expanded territory. Kingdom after kingdom fell. The Zulu grew stronger, larger, more feared. Southern Africa changed forever. People spoke his name carefully. Some admired him, others feared him. But everyone knew one truth. Shaka had built something unstoppable. A nation born from discipline, strength, and survival. The birth of the Zulu nation had begun. But through all his victories, one person mattered most. His mother, Nandi. She was everything. His protector, his comfort, his reason to keep fighting. When the world rejected him, she stood beside him. When people mocked him, she stayed. She suffered with him. Hungry, humiliated, alone. And Shaka never forgot. Never. He loved her deeply, fiercely. To him, she was more than a mother. She was home. The only person who truly believed in him before the empire, before the warriors, before the fear. Then, everything shattered. Nandi died, and Shaka broke. Completely. The mighty king who terrified nations collapsed under grief. His sorrow became unbearable. Some stories say mourning swept across the kingdom. That harsh punishments followed. That grief turned into anger. Pain turned into darkness. The warrior king changed. The fire that once built an empire started consuming him. The people began to fear not just his enemies, but him. And then came betrayal. The kind history repeats too often. Power creates enemies, even inside your own home. In 1828, Shaka's own half-brothers turned against him. They assassinated him. The mighty king, fallen, not in battle, not by an empire, but by betrayal. Some stories say his final words carried warning. A haunting reminder that power never sleeps peacefully. And just like that, the storm ended. But storms leave marks. Today, Shaka Zulu remains one of Africa's most legendary leaders. Loved, feared, debated, remembered. Some see him as a military genius. Others see tragedy. A man shaped by suffering, changed by pain. But one thing cannot be denied. He transformed history. He turned a small clan into a nation the world could not ignore. The Zulu nation still stands today. Proud, strong, deeply connected to culture, identity, and resilience. Shaka's story reminds us of something powerful. Sometimes the people the world rejects become the people history remembers forever. So remember this. The boy they mocked built an empire. The child they rejected changed history. But power has a price. And who leaves scars no come from him? Shaka Zulu, warrior, king, legend, broken son. Now tell me, who can Shaka become greater? his pain, or because of his pain, or despite it.